Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and our complaining of the lack of lore of magic has worked, for in patch 4.2, Mother Ostankya and the Kislevite race will have access to the lore of the Hag. This is a brand new spell lore based on pretty old lore for Kislev, which is really cool, and it focuses around debuffing and buffing up your troops. This will be available to Mother Ostankya, your legendary lord, and to your Hag Witches. Keep in mind that the Hag Witches are only heroes, so you do not have lord options with this lore of magic, but you will be able to recruit them as from tier 3, which means that you'll be able to get them fairly early on into your campaign. Now what I want to do is talk about each of the spells, because Creative Assembly announced all the spells but didn't show off the values. For example, here we have Fate of the Interlopers, which is your lore effect, and that is a hex which is pretty large. It's basically faction-wide. It reduces enemy leadership by 4 and increases unit resistance, those are for yours, by 20%. Already this is sounding pretty damn good. The first spell you'll have access to is Witch's Brew, which is already really strong considering that it's a breath weapon. It'll do a pretty good amount of damage to the enemy, giving them poison attack also, meaning that they'll have reduced stats all around. But if you decide to overcast it, it will also become a healing breath for your troops. This is a multi-purpose spell which is going to be seen fairly often in the battlefield, and I imagine that this is going to be seen a lot in multiplayer play also. It's got a very large arc, able to do quite a decent amount of damage. Yeah, breath weapons for me have always been key, especially when I'm trying to really deal with like loads of hordes, Skaven, Undead, sometimes Beastmen. I don't know, I've always favored breath weapons over pretty much any other spell, I'd say. Going into the first unlock spell, we have the Forbidden Fens, which is a aerial effect hex spell. When it's standard casted, it reduces enemy speed by 25%, charge speed by 25% once again, and vigor per second by 1%, so it makes them a little bit more tired. If you decide to overcast, however, you can buff up your troops with plus 25 speed, plus 25 charge speed, plus, well, actually minus 1 vigor per second, so they become a little bit more fresh over time, Strider, and Unspottable. Overall, it's a pretty good bonus. Visually, this one kinda just does a circle around the area representing the hex itself and starts spawning in some trees. It's really cool looking, actually. The Lore of the Hags is one of the most impressive in terms of visuals that I've been able to see so far. It's great to see that being done. Hopefully this means that our insistent asking can actually get us the Lore of Athlorn, since we know that summoning terrain is entirely possible. The next spell is Curse of the Ancient Witch, and this is a chain hex, meaning that it will spread to nearby enemies. The effect, when casted normally, reduces enemy missile block chance by minus 48, and enemy armor by 60. That is a pretty beefy spell. When you decide to buff it on your characters, so overcasting it, it gives your troops magical attacks, armor-piercing missile damage plus 25%, base missile damage plus 25%, and plus 20 reload skill. This one's a pretty good spell, especially since most of Kislev itself is a hybrid faction. This is also a chain augment, meaning that it will spread towards your nearest allies also. There's not a lot of visuals when it comes to this lore, but yeah, you get a nice little eerie glow to it, which kind of looks pretty cool. The next spell is Vengeance of Spirits. Now this is an area effect which silences enemies but also deals quite massive damage. It says it's strong versus multiple units and weak against single characters, but the way I've seen it is it's actually good with both, so yeah. When you decide to overcast it though and turn it into a blessing, this does damage to yourself but increases power recharge rate, speed, and spell mastery by 40%. It's a pretty cool looking spell too. Overall, one of the really best looking ones. And it does massive damage. It costs 12 magic itself to use, but there are ways to reduce that obviously, and yeah, it's going to be really good if you've got a lot of enemy bunched up together. I've been using it myself on a personal campaign, and goddamn does it do well. This is actually quickly becoming one of my favorite spell lores. Now, the next spell is Curse Cauldron. This is a bombardment spell, and it is really different to all the others. So, mostly because this acts like a vortex, I'll be showing that in just a little second. The main thing is you do a lot of damage with it, and if you decide to turn it into a blessing, it won't damage your own troops. But yeah, it spawns in the cauldron. The cauldron itself will be a little bit high up, and every shot it does then spawns in a vortex. smaller vortexes and they disappear after a few seconds, but the damage output can be absolutely tremendous, especially again in a choke point. If you end up in a choke point battle, or in an area where all the enemies just basically funneling through one area, you could really control a large portion of the map like this. And the last spell is Malediction of Madness. This is a hex spell, which is fairly expensive, to be honest, but in its standard form, it reduces base weapon damage by minus 50%, armor-piercing weapon damage by minus 50%, melee attack by minus 24, and rampages the unit too. The spell is actually quite powerful itself. Now, when you decide to buff it, so when you decide to turn it into a augment, it increases base weapon damage by 50%, armor-piercing damage by 50%, increases melee attack by 24, and then also gives you rampage. Overall, it's a pretty powerful ability. You keep in mind that rampage has changed, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later, another day, because there's 6 videos today and I'm kind of tired. But yeah, and it looks pretty cool, which I think is quite important because it summons in things in the woods. It kind of fits in with the story that we've had recently released. So yeah, this spell lore will be available to you if you've got Shadows of Change, or if you decide to buy it in the future, and it's pretty good. Honestly, I like it more than the 2 Kislevite ice lores. I don't know why. I guess it's just, it feels better, and it feels a little bit more nicely put together as one lore, whereas the ice lores, in all honesty, should have just been one. So I'm doing a little battle here just to showcase it, using a lot of the breath weapon too, because you can heal up your troops and make them much more viable. There's a bit of an issue here. It seems that CA still have not fixed the, you know, the the lords that are spellcasters flying up to the very front and then dying before the battle even begins properly. It's a little bit frustrating. I've already reported this to Creative Assembly, so they are fully aware. But yeah, you know, pretty fun battle overall. I'm a big fan of this lore of magic. It's definitely going to be what I'm going to be using today, because I'm going to be streaming some Kislev. And yeah, I can't believe it's taken this long to get it. It's a shame that we had to see almost the fall of Creative Assembly for it, but better late than never. Hopefully this is the start of a redemption arc. Let me know what you guys think about this lore of magic in the comments below. There's going to be loads of videos today. And yeah, I'll see you all again very, very soon. If you want to pop by, I'll also be live on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges. Say hi, and yeah, let's check out all the new stuff. I'll let the rest of the battle play out so you can see what goes on. And yeah, see you soon.
Taking position! Forward for Kislev! The motherland's finest! Slay them! The land's rot! Kislev. Shadows gather. Mother Ostankya. Kislev! Nightmare incarnate! I have decided! Shadow's rage!
Wolves of Kislev! On the march! Our duty, sir! Whatever Rowan asks!
The let's rock!